So when you look back at this entire journey, what was the turning point that really set you on this path?
As life threw things onto me, I just caught it. And that's how I moved ahead. And whenever an opportunity came in, I just clinged on to it. I think nobody can plan things in their life today, right? It is, each one has their own stories. You planned something, but something else has happened in your life.
Sometimes it's also very difficult to change. We become very rigid at some point in time. How do you yourself address it, or you can help the audience to address it?
Look at today's scenario, right? If you look at it today, AI is everything about AI, right? So when about 2-3 years ago, when ChatGPT was launched, right? And predominantly, I was looking at it, people were using it as a Google option. Of course, people were using it for a lot of intelligent purposes, using APIs and so on. But you accept the change, basically, and you move ahead. You can't resist it, because if you resist, you are thrown out anyways. See, at times, what used to happen is just to create that, a sense of humor, or, just to make the student feel comfortable, right? So at times there were some concepts which I would have taught them in my previous class, right? But today they come out with some queries. And then I would ask them, who has taught you this? Kisne tumko sikhaya? And then the guy would say, you only taught me. Sir, aapne sikhaya.
You have survived cancer.
Yes.
And I think that is something big.
So accidentally that cancer was discovered actually. Chemo was horrible. It shook us everybody, including my family members and so on. But then I kept us pricing that let's move ahead in life. Jo hoga. Anyway, it's anyway curable. You have to endure whatever it is there. There is no way out. But how do I keep myself positive about it? That's the only thing. So I kept myself throughout positive about everything, and in fact throughout my life I've always been, whatever that has happened, I have always seen the positive aspect of life. Never give up in life. If you give up, then you have lost the battle.
If you would like to summarize your entire learnings in your life in a few words.
Be consistent, perseverance, and be positive. Whatever it is there, be positive about anything. Kuch nahi hua, fail ho gaya, no problem. You have failed, but that has taught you, which no books in life will ever teach you that.
So hi Shailesh, welcome to the Industry Voice by Passion Minds. It's a podcast where we uncover real stories, industry expertise, insights, and specifically journeys of industry experts like you. It's a pleasure to having you here.
Yeah, thank you so much. Even it's a pleasure to be on this with Passion Minds.
Thank you very much. So the audience, today we have a special guest, Mr. Shailesh Rathod, who has spent over 3 decades in the hospitality and the maritime industry. He has been a consistent force in driving innovation, technology. He's mentoring leaders, not only employees but leaders, and he has built global partnerships over his 3 decades. It's such a pleasure to having him here with us at the Industry Voice by Passion Minds. Welcome once again, Shailesh.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you.
To begin with, Shailesh, we have a candid conversation which we will take up right now, and it would be really nice to hear your insights and your journey, which is spanning 30 years. You have had such a fascinating and diverse journey. I should say that your CV really speaks volumes of what you have done, and I think the CV is only a paper of 2 or 3 pages, and I think maybe a 100-page document would also be smaller when we look at your expertise. So from teaching in NIIT to founding your own company, it has been a splendid journey, I would say. You're right now also having your own consultancy, and I think you have learned a lot over teaching to starting your own company, and then your mentoring days, etc. You have also practiced in global leading companies like Tech Mahindra, and you have definitely gained a lot of experience in those working days of yours. So when you look back at this entire journey, what was the turning point that really set you on this path?
I took the way things were going on. So after graduation, I was looking for a job. Nothing was coming through. During that time, during college days, I had my own music band. So while I was still looking for a job, I was playing guitar and earning money. So I was a professional musician, you may call it that way. I never thought, but that was a career which just I embraced it. That's all to begin with, and then I went into the mainstream, and then so things, as life threw things onto me, I just caught it, and that's how I moved ahead. And whenever an opportunity came in, I just clinged on to it, and that's how you see, right from teaching to opening your own business, to getting into, from an employer going back to an employee, and then now again to an employer type of the transitioning has just happened. I mean, uh, I don't know how it has happened, but I just took it as it is, as it came, to me. So I would not say it has been planned. And to me, when I look back, and I think nobody can plan things in their life today, right? It is, each one has their own stories. You planned something, but something else has happened in your life. So same way here also. So it's been that journey.
You bring a very important topic here, I would say. You said nothing is predictable. So, what would you like to say about this VUCA world, which has been coming up very consistently? Vulnerable, unpredictable. Would you have some thoughts on that?
See, it's about changes which have been happening. Like if you look at my generation when we started off, there were no computers, there was no email, there were no cell phones. I mean, mobile phones, right? There's only a landline. From there, you transition to an era where there is everything been automation to that extent. Now we use artificial intelligence. Your phones have become intelligent. You have got so many software, so many things which will help you to do things on a day-to-day life. Right? So we have seen that transitioning and we embrace the change. So there is a change which is inevitably going to happen. You just accept the change. You adapt to that change, and that's difficult. People don't want to adapt to the change. They still want to stick to that old thing that now, oh, mera, that's what I had, and I think that's what I want to cling on to. No, the world moves ahead, so you also move ahead with it. So it is that way. You have to be just adapting to what's happening. Look around. What are the changes which are happening in the industry? In the industry which you are working, obviously, it could be anything. It could be an IT, non-IT industry. Everywhere changes happen. Disruption is happening in all industries. So you embrace the change. See how you can be a part of that change, not just be an observer. Then you are actually into the game. And then you will upgrade your skills automatically once you see, okay, these are my skill sets which is lacking. So you upgrade it. And then you are still relevant in the industry. Otherwise, people still fear that, no, I will lose my job and so on. But I mean, who stops you from using tools for better productivity, right? So it is that way. This is my thing, and this is what I have learned in last so many years, basically.
So, one thing which I would point out is the specific thing you mentioned about change, adaptability to change.
Yes.
Definitely, the generation which you come from, sometimes it's also very difficult to change. We become very rigid at some point in time. How do you yourself address it, or you can help the audience to address it in for those kind of people who are pretty rigid, timid? How would you suggest?
There were times in my life where I was sticking to that old philosophy, old concept, which has been carried over for last so many years, 3 to 4 decades and so on. But then at some point of time, I realized that no, it is good to let's get and embrace the whole thing. So, I mean, look at today's scenario, right? If you look at it today, AI is everything about AI. Right. So when about 2-3 years ago, when ChatGPT was launched, right, and I was in Tech Mahindra, and predominantly I was looking at it, people were using it as a Google option. It's a search engine basically, and they were using it for querying and doing all that. Of course, people were using it for lot of intelligent purposes, using APIs and so on. But somewhere I felt it is not matured. I don't know what led me said that. Maybe it is because of my experience, or it is something inner gut feeling. So I was just ignoring it at that point of time that, okay, AI is, I mean, it's still a long way to, it's just the beginning of it. It's not matured. But now today, I am using AI very, very, very much, and I am developing applications using AI also, correct? So some of the tools which I've used, and that's for business applications, again, to help my customers. So there, again, I have embraced the change. It's not that I was resisting, but that it was too early. I said, right now it may not be, I may jump into it, but, there'll be a lot of things which will be all, scattered around and not very matured. Today also AI is not very matured. It's still long way to go, because what we are using is just, at the very primary level. When you go into the agents, building all the agents together, working together, and then you stitch the whole thing. That's why the business outcome starts really coming into. So that's what I am right now working into. And that will help me because tools are available. I don't have to dig out more things. I don't have to write programs for it and so on. I can just do it using a tool. So that helps me increase my productivity. And to understand the tool, all the knowledge of technical knowledge which I had, I am able to understand it very well. So I think when I've entered in now about couple of months ago, I've come a long way, because when I discuss with few others also, they say, "Arey, bahut kar diya tum." When you've done lot of things in they know AI. I say, but it's still, I'm not very satisfied with what I've done. But you accept the change basically, and you move ahead. You can't resist it, because if you resist, you are thrown out anyways.
Absolutely true. You absolutely nailed it, because if you don't follow and you don't adapt to it, you will be left far behind.
Correct. Absolutely.
And people will move forward.
Yes.
That's important.
That is true.
So this one more thing which you mentioned in the starting of what your career, you said you were playing a guitar and you had a band.
Yes.
That's so interesting. It's really completely different than what you actually done in your career for 30 years.
Correct.
Didn't you have this one feeling that, hey, let's maybe give it a shot? Why don't I go into the music industry and try something of my own?
Yeah, it was there. But see, those days in 1987, 80, when I'm talking about 84, 84, I started learning guitar. 84, 85, 86, 85, I had my own band.
That was the time I was born.
So during those days, they were there was no social media, one, where you could put your videos and so on. Even to create a video was a big challenge. There were no, of course, there were those cameras, VHS and so on, those cameras were, but digital was not there still. So, and that was expensive. And once you make a video, what do you do? Where do you put it? There is no media, right? So, and opportunities were there, but to get onto that, getting that exposure somewhere, it was difficult. I didn't find it. And then when I got a job and that was interesting, got into NIIT, I said it's okay. But still the passion still continues. Today also I play guitar. I am teaching now students.
Okay.
Yeah. So they learn guitar, they learn synthesizer, ukulele, no, I teach all different instruments to them.
Maybe do a good session with us.
Oh, definitely, we can do that for sure.
Oh, nice.
No problem.
So when you're speaking about all these topics which we just like on the tip of the iceberg right now, I would say, and there's more to discuss with you. Can you explain or relive one moment in your entire early days of your career, maybe a classroom or a project incident, which you would pick and maybe something like, yeah, this hit the chord. This is something which I would like to share.
There are a lot of incidences, but, typical things, see, at times, what used to happen is just to create that, a sense of humor or, just to make the student feel comfortable, right? So at times there were some concepts which I would have taught them in my previous class, right? But today, they come out with some queries. And then I would ask them, who has taught you this? Kisne tumko sikhaya? And then the guy would say, you only taught me. Sir, aapne sikhaya. So then, it is, you feel, oh, did I? So I knew I have taught. But see, there were those small things, which I used to do it very often. And students knew about it, that this guy would do it. But one incident I still remember. So I was handling the machine room, which was a practical room where there were computers put in and students would come in, then they would do their exercises there, basically. So there was a COBOL exercise which one of the students had to do it, and she was writing the COBOL program that was written, and there were errors. So when you compile it, gives you errors. Those nowadays you run it and it'll, you still have errors, coming at the back end. But there in the compilation itself will give you errors. So it will give you this. So that the student would read that line and say, okay, line number this, because the error would have the line number. So say line number this, there is an error. So the person would go there and try to figure out what it was there, could not understand it, just deleted the line. And she went on doing it for the entire program. And then finally she said, oh, my work is complete, my program is compiled, everything is, why don't you run it and see it? So when we run and see it, nothing happens. I said, what happens to the output? This is the output, it ran successfully. I said, but no, it is supposed to generate this report as per your book, it is supposed to print this. So where is that? No, that is not happening. My job is to compile. Program is compiling, so it should run. But no, it is not. Then we looked at the code and I just saw the entire command line. It was just the identification division, environment division, data division, procedure division, and the section name, that's all. I said, is this your program? He said, yes, this is compiling. I said, where is the logic to read the file and print it? So it was, I mean, I never expected it, first of all. I thought somebody would call me and say, I'm not able to fix this error. You fix it, rather than deleting a line, right? So that was the most funniest part which I felt, which was there. But, happens, a lot of things happen in learning this.
Wow. You interestingly mentioned COBOL. Maybe not everyone will understand what COBOL is. Even right now, I think COBOL is non-existent in the entire industry, I would say.
No, I think it's still used. I think some of the mainframe systems are using COBOL. I know one of my customer way back, they were on to COBOL system, but I think they were migrating into Java net platform.
Mostly they go from C, C Sharp,
Yes,
Java.
yeah. So they would have probably done
it.
But I have seen that code way back in 2000 and I think 7 or 8. Yeah, I have seen that COBOL still running. So maybe there are a lot of backend systems which are still running on COBOL.
Interesting.
Maybe. I mean, although the front end would be this, but backend is difficult to change because a lot of these business rules which were written long back, those people are also not there now. And people really are scared of touching them because you don't know when you touch that what may break is not known.
Never touch a running system.
So never touch a running system. Exactly, you got it right. So it is that way.
Good. You basically had a degree in BSc chemistry.
Correct.
And then in 1 year, I think you moved to teaching in NIIT.
Correct.
Now, how was this drastic transition from being a chemistry guru to moving to a completely different field like software engineering?
Yeah, I don't think I was a chemistry guru ever. I just knew I had to get a graduation degree in chemistry. I did it well. Okay, I was good in chemistry. So that's why I majored in chemistry honors from Bombay University. So it so happened that while I was looking out for a job, I got an opportunity. There was an ad which came into newspapers with Air India, and that was flying in flight opportunity, flying assistants and so on, right? So today you have got these air hostesses and so on, but there were flight pursers. They were the male people also helping the air hostesses. So there was that opening which came in. And somehow that was interesting to me. I would be able to see the world around. And because that passion was always there, to go around the world, see, meet people and so on. So then I thought, okay, and then my father said, okay, you apply. I mean, there's no harm. And anyway, they're taking freshers and so on. And they said foreign language would be an additional advantage. So I had learned French in my school days during my 10th, 9th, 10th. So that was there. So I knew a bit of French, not that expert in French, very novice, but I had to brush up things. Then when I applied for it, eventually, then I got a call. I appeared for the test, gave the interviews, everything. That took quite some time. So during that time, I didn't wanted to get engaged into something very big because this was already going on. And if this I get, I don't wanted to leave a job and then, get on to this. So I was looking at that. Meantime, there was a friend of mine where I used to live in Bombay. So they had their own, computer classes they used to run. So he and his partner broke off. So the other guy who was a partner was not very good in English. And they both started their own parallel education institute. And this guy came to me one day. He said, Shailesh, I need your help. I said, what help you need? Okay, tell me. So normally it would be, go with them somewhere, so then he said, no, I want your help tomorrow. And I think it was Thursday, Friday. I don't remember, but it was few days from that event. So he said on Sunday, I remember it. So he said Sunday there is a meeting at one of the school in Chembur. That's where I was staying in Chembur. So he said in that school they want to give an introduction to computers to the parents of those students who want to enroll here. So if they are interested, and if they get interested by the speech and talk, then the students will register, and probably the school will empanel me as as an instructor to give them training. I said, but I don't know anything about computers. He said, no, it is very simple, basic things. You have to just tell them what are the uses of computers and so on, so forth, and so on. So I said, it's okay, but I was resisting that change. He said, but why are you catching me? I said, your English is very good. And that's a convent school. So, they will get impressed by you. I don't speak good English. And I said, no, but, I was never interested into computers. And then, you're telling me to do this. And so I was very resistant. Then he was pestering me. He told my father, please tell him, to help me, otherwise I'll be on road. And he was going through a very, very bad patch of life. So my father said, okay, why don't you just go and help him out? I mean, it's okay, Okay, you pick up some things, you read through what is happening in the newspaper. So I took out all the newspapers last 1 or 2 weeks, computer news, some magazines. So magazines, we were not subscribing, right? So to buy them again, so there were a lot of these roadside shops which would, which still there in Bombay, where you get these magazines, old magazines and everything, available at a very cheap price. So I went there, I picked up one of the computer magazine, don't figure it out anything. Read through it, something I got to know, okay, India is trying to do something in railway reservation, airline reservation, something your businesses are trying to, some idea basically I got. And I said, okay, 1 hour I can manage it out well and so on. So I got that content, I delivered it. And then after a few days, he comes back again. Now I say, again, need your help. What help you need? So I thought, again, a new school. So I said, nah, I don't know. If there's a new school, I will come. No problem. They said, no, it's the same school. Now they want you to teach there. I said, no, that is not possible. I mean, I am not ready for it. I don't want to. I cannot teach because I'm not qualified technically. So you don't expect me to teach computers there. It is a no. But no, it is basic, a simple, basic language, and but it is whatever it is there. But it is not. I never thought of it, and I have. You all were after, because he was there after me for last 3 to 4 years to join his computer classes. I was resisting to it. So I said, no. He said, no, you please. And then finally he said, no, if you don't teach, they are not going to give me the contracts. So again, I have got signed. So I said, okay, now to help this guy, I said, what do I do now? So he said, I'll give you a computer at home. And he actually gave a computer at home, which gets connected to a television, So you connect it to your TV, and then you, whatever command, and of course there was no saving, was not there, because there was no devices to save. Like, of course there were those big floppy drives and those things, but for a home computer, you don't need all those because they were expensive, those storage devices. So I got that, and they started writing programs and basic single, identifying, gave me some books. And then it was all, it was so difficult to understand. So I started reading programs and writing it down and understanding that what this command actually does. So it was like reading somebody else's program, somebody else's logic. You're trying to figure it out. Then I said, no, I need to do something. Then I got to know about something as flowcharts. So then I looked at flowcharts, and then because I have to teach now, right? So I just cannot do a shady job. At least I need to be a good job to make them write good programs. So that's how I got into it. And then there was an ad from NIIT. And I was doing this with my own guitar and all that, and I was earning good money. In between, I even got a job in a company as a chemist, but that was not very interesting to me. But I was doing it because I needed a job. And then finally I left that, and then NIIT want came in. I applied, and luckily I was fortunate to get in there. But I mean, it just happened. I mean, they liked because they asked me a lot of things. In fact, that was very surprising part. So there was a test there, and written test. It was a Sunday, and Sunday night, Sunday evening on during those days in 1986, you used to get a Hindi film on TV, right? So we were more interested with some Hindi film coming on TV, so we'll go and watch that. Doordarshan.
Friday evening.
Right, Friday evening Doordarshan, right? So it was Sunday evening Doordarshan. So I said, "Abhi acha picture is some, I don't remember, but it's a good film." I said, "Abhi aaj jaake, so today we'll see. I think we'll finish off everything by 6 o'clock. So I'll go and then do that." So Nariman Point, I was there, did my things, and then finally I cleared that, and then there was the next round of interview, and my interview never. I was the first one in the list, but I was called very late at 6 o'clock, and all the time I was very very restless. That but my name is first. You're not even calling me. You're making me wait. You're not telling me also what is there, what is, I mean, and all the others who had a degree, who had a certificate, and they were all been getting called one by one. So I was just wondering whether, what's happening with me. So at the end, the guy said, I went and told him, boss, I mean, everybody are gone. You called me the last. When my name was, if I told him literally that way. So that guy was laughing. He said, Shailesh, no, it's not that way. We have already, selected you in the first round itself. Because, and this is, we don't want to discuss with you on the second round. We're going to talk about employment now. So we wanted to spend good time with you to understand, to tell you about what NIIT is there and so on. So when I walked off, I was with a job in hand with NIIT. And then the journey with NIIT started. There was a training and so on. So that was one good thing that happened. And of course, I would say my father's boss, who was, I mean, he was in Mafatlal Fines. My father he was an engineer there. So his boss, he went and discussed with him that, my son has got this job. He said, no, Rathod, you ask him to go. This is good. Computers are going to be the in thing now. So NIIT is a big name. So jane do, let him go. So then I had also made up my mind. He also said, no, you go. And then so I said, okay, we'll join that. And that's how the journey into IT started, learning. So I had to learn a lot of things on my own, although the training was there. But it was always learning, implementing, learning, implementing, learning. So that learning thing got developed much ahead in writing programs. And so that's how I learned a lot of languages. It was not difficult for me because the logic which was running behind was helping me out everywhere, basically. And today also there are these techniques which I teach a lot of people on how to write efficient programs. So
Nice.
So that's my learning which are there. I just share it with everybody.
So, Shailesh, one second. That was a wonderful story. That was simply amazing the way you learned and implemented, learned again and implemented, and eventually taught. That was more important to teach someone.
Correct.
Maybe your friend, just on a very jovial level, the friend would have said, this guy knows English, he knows Hindi, he knows Marathi.
Correct.
So this is just another language to learn.
Maybe that's what he thought so. But it was interesting, and it was, I mean, every day there was a learning, every day there was a challenge. And then at one point of time, I got hooked up into this programming because it was creative, something creative that I was doing. So like music is also creative. And I used to make portraits and sketches, and that's again a creative side of me. So that also caught on to it. And then graphics also, which I knew that you can make graphics on programming, using programs in BASIC. So that was also another. So that's how I got interested into it, and then we started making different applications, small ones with files, handling data files and so on. But that's how I also became interested, and I said, "Hey, acha hai. I mean, this is something good." It's a lot of creativity is there. It's not whatever that you're thinking, you can put actually into reality and see it happening there. So that gave me that kick, or I don't know what it was, but that really was wonderful.
It is interesting to hear. And one more important thing which you brought up here is you said in your first interview for NIIT, you saw an ad on the newspaper.
Correct.
And you went for an interview.
Correct.
And I think when you retired a couple of years back,
Right.
there was no newspaper advertisements for recruitment. It was all online.
No,
The HR used to post something online. So how was this 30-year change? Didn't you feel, what did I do 30 years back and now people are just clicking one button and then coming here for an interview? How was that experience of yours from a drastic change in 30 years?
No, today, I mean, earlier it was different because there was no social, I mean, there was no digital media, there were no job portals and nothing. So we would only go, looking by the ads, we will read, and we have a written application form, which was typed. You just have to write the name of the company and sign it, and then fill up the details and so on. That was acceptable at that point of time, right? Because people do not have a type letter for every job opportunity, and that was accepted. That you fill up your reference, so fill in the blanks in that letter and standard letter. So that's how it used to be there. And I used to apply for jobs, and it was apply, no reply. It was the same thing, right? Because to match the profile, was somebody says done BSc in chemistry, what will you do in admin? So you get knocked off. So a lot of those things happened. But eventually, now it is much easier.
Yeah.
So many job portals are there. But now, again, I mean, I would say there's too many, with this tools which are now, they even, fabricate your profile as per the requirement. And you might not even have the skills, but you're still applying for it. And then, you also get selected at times. Yes, maybe you have the skills and maybe you're getting selected. That is good. But it's difficult to know what is a good, whether this guy really has us. So you have to literally go deep dive into it and figure it out whether this guy has those skills, what they've written, experience matches with what they have done, and then you're. So today the life is much different.
Yeah.
There are a lot of these, resume scores which you get. Those were not there in those days. I mean, resume is simple resume. There was no scoring, right? So, but now today there's an AI tool which will. There is a tool, and not even AI. There was a tool which will tell you how much skill set is mapping. Even LinkedIn has those. When you apply for job things, it has got how many, what are your chances of getting this job, how many applied, and so on. Everything is now become more data driven, correct? And that's how things are happening. And we don't know. I mean, today I don't know whether actually this is helping or not. Eventually, it is a reference. Today, what works out everywhere. It's again going back to olden days.
Right.
If you knew somebody in a company, it was easy to get in. Likewise, today also is the same way. If you have a referral, then it becomes easy.
Yeah.
And unless, of course, there are without referral also, but there are niche areas which you look into it. So things have changed. A lot of opportunities are there. You can apply to any jobs anywhere in the world today, and it's just a click away. So
Positive change.
there are a lot of positive change. Of course, it's a positive change. You're exposed to so many opportunities today, right?
Yeah.
So and then you can go through the opportunity. Then you can see, okay, I have this skill set which I had done it earlier. Maybe in my last project, this may be relevant, so I can apply.
Exactly.
Correct. So it can help. So it is that way.
So coming to this opportunity part which you mentioned, so you took a small, maybe a detour from chemistry when we go back to those days and you moved to NIIT. Now, when was at that point in time a small detour, or you're leaving chemistry for good? What was your thought process, or just went with the flow? You got something? How was that?
So I never thought. I mean, I don't know because getting into computers was, of course, that you have to leave chemistry. But you see, whether it is chemistry or maths or physics or anything, right? Whether do anything that is there. So there is a logic which works everywhere, right? So like you look at chemistry, this is the way how I also related at some point of time later on that why is it that, so in a chemistry you have to balance those equations. So there is a logic which has to go, right, and balancing it. So somewhere that logic, you have to think logically. Same way if it is physics or maths, there's a logic to solve things. Same way here also, you need that logical ability to write a program. I mean, you can't put the cart before the horse and then no. You need to have it. The sequence of commands need to be in the right order. Pick up the right sequence and so on. So that eventually has to be brought in there. Maybe the learnings can come from any aspect of life, but chemistry. I mean, of course, that is. I just accept it. ठीक है. अभी कोई chemistry के साथ में I'm not going to work with anymore with chemistry. So okay, let's go ahead with this and just embrace the change. Change is there. It's just come. Which life has thrown onto you. Accept it. Move ahead. And that was a good change, I would say. During those days, computers were just coming into India, and the IT boom had just started. We were at the initial, wave of it. So that was good that way.
And Y2K was still not there.
Y2K was still not there.
Exactly.
But in fact, I would tell you, I was doing a project for a Middle East company when I had my own business after I left NIIT. So we were, it was an HR program for a Dubai-based company, which we were doing it in India. So it was an international project. So in that HR data, there were a lot of data related to visas and passports and all of that. So we were entering all the data, testing it out, right? So we used to enter date 2001. What was there? We used to enter it out. And when we did a query, we were not able to get the data. So I said, what is the problem? We entered 2000. I mean, why is it not 01? Should give us 2001. Then we went into the database. We saw it was taking us 1901. 1901. So we said it should take 2001. But why is it taking 1901? So that's where in 1994, we actually struck this point was accidentally identified. And then we knew.
Before it was news.
Huh?
Even before it was news.
Yeah, even before it was news. Even before it was, the industry was speaking about it. So this just came in at that point. And then we checked out with our applications, which we had built in, whether the same behavior is there or not. And the behavior was the same. So we said, now, okay, if this is what is there, if this database, it's going to be with any programming language, it's going to be there. So let's fix it up. So we gave a fix we created our own fix, which should take the 01 and add 20 and then, take it up. So we moved the century ahead, and that's how we did that. And so Y2K, we all our softwares were Y2K compliant in 1994 when the world was still sleeping. So we were maybe ahead of the curve or something. But that was also one of the reasons we lost that opportunity of making money. Yeah, but we were very, very, because a lot of our customers, we had about 50 plus customers in about 2000, and they were all live systems, hotels and hospitals, and every system was running 24/7. And they came in that, what will happen in 31st December 1999? What will happen on 1st of January 2000? My system will crash. Will it work? Will everything will work? Don't worry. No, I don't know. I mean, you'll have to be there. I said, boss, don't worry about it. I am confident about the system. Nothing will happen. So, and nothing happened. And I got a call in the middle of the night. Said, Shailesh, the system is working fine. We checked out. The bill of next day is coming in 2001. Wow, you are a genius, man. I said, boss, there's nothing genius. We knew about the problem. We fixed it. We didn't charge you because we thought it is unethical somewhere, because we knew it was a bug. Why keep it as a bug? People made money. We didn't make money.
Ethics was much higher than
ethics
money.
were my, and we wanted to do a very fair play with we don't want to cheat.
Exactly.
That was never, even today also, that is never an intention.
But maybe adding one thing, that took you a long way, because even today I know some of your customers are still calling you for helping you out with all these things.
Yes.
Because you are ethical, you got the benefit over here.
Yes.
Exactly.
In fact, one of them I am still working with.
Wow.
And I'm trying to work on a large project with them. And that's just because of, maybe that fairness
Exactly.
which I have. And till date, I want to be fair to my customers. I don't want to cheat them ever. If I can do it, I can do it. If I cannot, I cannot do it. And in consultancy also, I do the same thing.
Exactly. That's a
Today
wonderful
also.
rule, I would say. That's a wonderful rule which
Because I think you should not take up some assignment just because you need. Of course, you need money, but you should just not take it up and do a shady job. If you can deliver, just do it.
exactly.
Today also, I'm very clear with my with my client. In fact, my first assignment after my retirement. One of my, again, through known, the person approached me and I said, no, I don't have the skill sets of doing this, what you look. So we went on a call, they discussed with their partners and so on. So I said, no, I don't think so. I can deliver whatever that you've written there. After about 2 weeks, so they said, no, Shailesh, I think whatever that you spoke, you can still help us out. Because we are in the journey where we still need your skills. Those are the skills probably we will need later on, but we need some skills today
Right.
that will help us to launch our product. So we want you on board. So that's how I got on board with them.
That's, I would say, one thing which you could even highlight more is because in an entrepreneurship journey or it's business, it's your career, being true and being
Yes.
ethical
Yes.
like moves you a long way.
Yes.
That's what I can say from your summary out here.
Yes, and
Amazing.
even while I was employed also, I never, lot of time people hide things from their customers. No, I was very upfront, saying that no, I mean, even if I have to place a junior resource on the project, I would call up the project manager on the customer side, tell him, boss, I literally don't have anybody matching the skill set, but I am going to place this guy because I know his technical skills. And believe me, I'm going to give you 1 month billing holiday.
Okay.
And you check it out. If you tell me after a month you take this guy out, I'll take it out, no questions asked whatsoever. Are you happy with it? He said, yeah, it's okay, fine. And then I mentor that person. I be with that person because he has to upgrade to that level. I get him all the help so that after a month I can bill him.
Exactly.
So, and it happened. And it has happened until number of times.
This is leadership. Exemplary leadership.
That's exactly because
People miss that part, I would say.
you have to stretch out yourself and to get that thing done. So you have to move ahead. You have to find out things, how you make it work, and you have to deliver it at the end of the day. Awesome. And I take complete ownership. That if that guy had failed, I take the ownership that it was my bad decision. That guy failed, but it's okay.
Bad decisions happen.
Bad decisions happen.
Exactly.
So there's nothing. Everything may not be right in my life also. When I look back, all this is which may not be right. But during that time, within that circumstance, that was the best thing that I could have done.
Exactly.
And there was nothing right or wrong. Today also I feel. And I always tell my team also, but if you work, you're bound to make mistakes. I'm okay with that because with mistakes only you learn.
Right.
Right, but if you don't do anything, you're not making mistakes. So there's no point, right? So,
this actually brings a funny incident. My grandfather, he was 90, 95, and many times used to happen that he used to break cups because he used to try washing it and it used to break. So my grandmom used to be like, "What, you always break everything?" He's like, "The people who work always break things."
Always break things, exactly. Right, so
you don't do nothing.
you do nothing. You're just living. You're stagnating yourself at some point of time. So you go and take bleeps. There'll be something which will work, something may not work, but that's okay.
Exactly.
That's okay in life.
So you have gone through this journey. So you had a stable job at that point at one point in time. You had a very stable job in 1990s, early 1990s.
Yes, I mean that was with NIIT. Yes.
Yeah, exactly. And you had a stable job. You were doing well in life. You had time to play guitar. You're doing amazingly well. You had time for your leisure.
Correct.
But then something happened and you took a big step and big leap into entrepreneurship with Unisoft. Now, what made you leave a stable income job from a, I would say, middle class family? Everything is set, stable,
Right.
and then moving directly into something which is unknown.
So that entrepreneur journey was very interesting. Okay, so with NIIT, we were doing a lot of in-company training. So a lot of candidates from company would come there, and they were executives, senior managers. They would come there, and we would impart them computer education, basically, about business problems, business solutions, and so on. And they would come and discuss with us some of their own business problems. And based on little information that we would have, we would give them some ideas. We will suggest them different things based on what they're learning, how they can implement it into real life. Like for example, there was some courses on Excel. So today, and those days it was a VP Planner. We were not using uh, Lotus 123, but NIIT was using VP Planner. It was same as Lotus 123, but it was same today's Excel. Right? It's the same avatar of it, what was there earlier, way back. So we used to tell them that, look, if you have to do this, then you enter your data into rows and columns, and then you can do what if analysis and so on. So we used to show them how to do that using data tables, what if analysis. And that's the way how we started. So they started coming up with a lot of these problems and discussing a lot of things. So one interestingly, there was an hotelier who was just bang opposite that office. And he used to come very often, and he was a young, very young, person. And he would come and discuss a lot of his ideas about, bringing about automation in the hotel. So that was way back in 90s, So, and we would discuss about these things, what you can do. So on the front desk, you can, generating your bills, you could do that. And those days, it was, generating bills automatically on a front desk of an hotel was not very known. Correct? And
That was 90s. Early
that was
90s.
in 90s, in 1990s.
Okay,
I would say
1990s.
1990, 91.
Okay.
I would say that way. 91 to be more precise. Okay. So it was difficult. So I used to give him a lot of ideas. Then I was like, okay, you can do even a payroll. That's much simpler, easier. Financial accounting, you can, put it onto here so that your books of accounts will get ridden through. You make a voucher entry, it'll automatically get posted into, your journals and ledgers, and you can get that. Then that sounded very interesting. So he came up with a lot of things. He was discussing a lot of ideas, which is related to his own business. And we used to discuss at length, at times. And then one fine day, I was, that was when I was fired. Then in 1990, I got promoted as a center head. So then I had a lot of responsibilities over there to manage the whole center and to take it up. So 1991, 1993 when I left. So that was also a very interesting journey, how to make that center grow. We were actually underdogs, and NIIT Indore center was much down below, and to come up to the top 5 was a big challenge. And the entire team, we had to make a lot of plans to do that, and then we came. So during that journey only, he called me up one day. He said, Shailesh bhai, aap aa jaiye na mere office mein, come over to my office. I said, so, okay. I mean, so I told him, will it be okay if I come at 6? Because she said, yeah, you come at 6 o'clock, no problem. So it was right across. So I crossed the road and go to his hotel. And then he discussed with me a lot of things, which computer to buy and so on and so forth. He said, I have bought this computer here. I said, good, it's excellent that you have taken this step now. Now, whatever that you learned, you start putting into it. And then he said, no, hold on. He said, but what? He said, when are you going home? Well, I go home very late. I go at about 9 o'clock. So, and then I was married, in 89. So my wife was also with me in NIIT. So I said, when is she going home? I said, she leaves about 7 o'clock, and, things to be taken care of home and so on. I go at about 9. I said, but why are you asking me this? He said, I want to send this computer to your home. I said, but for what? Well, for doing my automation of my hotel. Who is going to do it? I said, I mean, why do you want me to do it? He said, look, I have been talking with you for last 6 months. You are giving me all these ideas, and you are helping others to build. All your students are working in big companies, in Eicher Motors and a lot of big companies over there, steel tubes and a lot of these in and around Indore, a lot of small businesses. And they are able to write programs. So you think that your students can write good develop applications. So you as a guru can't do it. I said, no, I can do it. But I mean, there is no ifs and buts. Tomorrow, the computer is going to be at your home. And that's how it started off. Mm-hmm. So we had to build a payroll app, and it was around 15th of that month. And he said, I have to show to my father that by the end of the month, the payroll comes out from this. And I want to prove it to my father that computer is the thing and this guy can do it for me and can do for the hotel. And they delivered a payroll with zero errors.
Wow.
It was matching with their manual system. Perfectly matching. 100% payroll disbursement happened through that system in 15 days. And then there was no looking back. He said, I want my front desk, I want my restaurant, I want my room service, I want the entire hotel automation. We did it. He said, hotel is all yours. You go to any department, you discuss, you tell me how much you want, I'll pay you, and you start doing this.
Wonderful start to your entrepreneurship.
Yeah, it was. So the first hotel was there, but then there was a time when I realized that I've after becoming top 5, I said now I'm at the peak of the thing. I should hand it over to the next people who can then carry forward the torch. And by the time my own entrepreneurship, my business was growing, because we had done a lot of applications for hotels, and people were recognizing us, in India level also as one of a good software development company. So then I quit my job. Then I joined my own enterprise. My wife was already working, building applications, and I was doing it, midnight oil burning, go back home and then
Nothing was easy.
and then doing it together. So we both would sit down together, a lot of debates, a lot of discussions. Yes, I know this is not the way we should design, and no, this is the way to go. And
So who won?
so eventually it is okay. Some at times I win, at times she would say, but that was a very healthy, I would say. There were a lot of heated discussions also, but they were all constructive. And finally we would say, okay, fine. And then she decided, she took that role on envisaging the softwares, dreaming about what the software will be like, and I have to fulfill that dream like. So we're coding, right? So it was that, and in this journey, in fact, one of the things that we are given to the industry today, hospitality industry, is the hotel front office screen, and I have in fact posted on my LinkedIn also in one of my posts, is that the screen, when you look at the screen, during those days, in 1990, there was no GUI. But my screen had got both small windows, which were created through graphical characters, ASCII characters, right? And with those, you used to make small windows there with a room number.
Okay.
And within that window, there used to be an icon, which used to say whether this room is occupied, under maintenance, is there a message been left for this person, is the room cleaning going on, is the room ready. And there were a lot of these icons that we had put up in that small window. So that time icons were not there. I mean, nobody had even thought about those icons, right? And we were using these special characters, ASCII characters, about those, devil face and so, smiley, whatever crude things which was there, right? And we used that during
Maybe
those
we cannot even imagine that, because now we are so much used to this UI and
UI,
so, but those days maybe we cannot even imagine that.
Yeah, you cannot imagine. It was difficult because we wanted to do something different, and it was the unconventional way that we wanted to do it. So just by looking at the screen and all the function keys, we used it. So first floor, second floor, third floor of the hotel, you want to query by name. It's just one single button, one key, press 2 keys, and the name should be there.
Wow.
Because you don't want to keep, there's somebody calling, you don't want to keep that call on hold. So we had to do a lot of imaginative things and doing things. So that screen which we had designed, and now today industry follows that screen. So that's something that I think we just gave it to the industry, and today we are happy. Okay, we were able to do something which the industry adopted, and we feel happy about it. That's all.
You have to feel proud, of course.
That's all. We feel happy that you did something
Exactly.
about it. Correct.
So in these 7 years at Unisoft, you had, of course, a wonderful high when you started. You got your first job, you got your first order, and you proved it right in 15 days. That was amazing. But then there would have been years where it would have been slow customers, non-paying customers maybe.
Yes.
Money was tight. there were many places
Yes.
you would have had a lot of struggle at home as well because of
Yes.
this. How did you manage that? Did you at any point in time feel, why? Why did I do this?
Well, no, I never felt like why, but I always felt that what is it that we can do better now? Right? Okay, today this situation, what is that we can do? Right? So we started, reusing our code for a lot of redevelopment. So to help us to, gain faster development, less cost on our side.
Keep on
And then-
reusing it.
Yeah, keep on reusing it. So we had developed a lot of libraries for reusability, basically, and that we were using it.
But that comes, sorry to cut you short, but this comes to a very important point that you had a far-fetched vision that you have to create libraries which is more
Yes.
intensive so that you can
Yes.
keep on reusing them.
Correct.
Wonderful.
So we had made a lot of procedures like menu. We had our own menu procedures. You just use it. You just change those things, and it will just work fine. So there were a lot of things that we did, including the pop-up windows, and we used to do a lot of development in Clipper, C, C++, and so on. So that was something that we just started using the tools to the maximum extent and utilizing it. And every time there was something, what is it that I can do new to this? Something unique that I can create here. So one interesting thing, which was of course libraries we created. In fact, one of the projects which is still, in fact, there's one customer I know who is still using my software. He's a doctor, homeopath doctor in Pune, in Indore. He still uses it. It is a DOS-based software, Clipper-based. He's still using it. He's very happy about it. And that software was actually an expert system. Because you enter in, because like when you go to a doctor, this was way back in 1994. So you go back, you tell that, I've got these symptoms, the doctor will keep on typing it down because there was no voice, was not there. So you type down all the basic things, and then the software will tell you, picking up those keywords based on the symptoms, what is fed in the repository, fetching out and tell these are the symptoms for which you're supposed to treat this patient.
So you already had a local chat GPT in 1994.
We don't know. It was an expert system or whatever was there. And after that, it was not stopping there. After that, it used to tell that, okay, for this, what classical homeopathy, what medicine should I give? Nice. So that help was also available. And the doctor also said, okay, but what is my style of medication that I give for these patients? So that was also there. So you had a combination of things that the doctor is now there to take the right decision for treating the patient.
Again, data-based.
So it was, decision making. Yeah. So in 1994, we never thought that, what is that we're building? We just thought this is going to be a great, unique feature. It's going to be a wow feature. And we did that. Then we even did our own editor actually, which was inbuilt inside that. And then you had that editor which could type letters. You could do a mail merge with your existing database of my patient, and you can send them because there was no email. So you can send only letters. Take a printout. You want to send Diwali greetings or what, you type it down. You take a printout, and then also you want selected. I want to send it to only 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. You can select it. Only those 5 letters will come, and all that was there, and all that stuff was there. Other than that. And today, that's also one of the feature in Microsoft, is that to search for a text within a file. The file name search was there during those days also, because dir and you give star, that was there. But to search a content in the file was not there. So, but in my editor, any of the file on the disk which you want to search in that directory, it will search for that word and give you the list of files where that word is there.
Wow.
So that we had built way back in 1994. Wow. Yeah. 95 that project went live. Wow. So 1990, and today also the guy is still using that software, and it does everything.
Big case study. 30 years.
30 years ago. Yeah, 30 years ago. So that is what, again, I don't know whether it is a contribution or something, but this was a challenge which was thrown by doctor to me, saying that I have written so many. he has written so many letters. Now I don't know which letter I have written. I just remember executive engineer, the name, but where is it in that file? I forgot the file name. So he said, now you give me a solution for this. I said, okay, let me think. So then we use routines. In C, you can do that, so read through it and then, so we developed those routines in C++ and integrated with Clipper, because Clipper has that feature. So we did that, and then, so it was interesting but when we looked at later on, Windows also has that now. So चलता है कुछ तो
Right. You
अच्छा
get
हो रहा है इंडस्ट्री में कुछ तो हो रहा है अच्छा
Exactly.
it is something good is happening.
So when you had this 7-year journey with Unisoft, you had wonderful highs that you mentioned
Yes.
right now. And when you decided to wind down, was it kind of a defeat, or you had achieved what you wanted to achieve on day one?
No, it was not a defeat actually, because we were doing very well. And we were, in fact, we were also, so we had a good, we were known as a hotel management software development, which is a property management system. It was very, very strong, which we had during those days, even in 2000. So we were among the top 5 or 4 probably in India. At one point of time, we were only 1 or 2 companies who were doing it. Later on, others came in. So we were there. We were doing good there. To get orders was very difficult. And that time, even in fact, I remember the stock market has also crashed in about 1998 and 99 time frame.
The depression.
And the depression had happened. The stock market had crashed for some reasons. I don't remember it now, and that's why people were not spending money. So, and for doing this, you need money, right? People had to shell out money. So that was a very tough time. And Y2K was one thing which was catching up. So a lot of our employees who knew how to fix this Y2K were getting jobs for fixing Y2K. And they were leaving us because they were getting lucrative jobs outside India. And we didn't want to stop them because it was their career, they were growing. I said, okay, chalo, theek hai, we will get some new people coming in. So we inducted new people also coming in. And other is that our products that we had built, they were all graphic, they were not Windows based. Of course, we were migrating into Windows gradually, but that will take us some time because we had 50 plus customers and everybody moving into Windows will not happen at the same time. So we were trying to convince them also. And majority of them were saying that, why should we move to Windows? I said, but this technology is getting obsolete. You have to move to the new. But you tell me why? Because this your software is so good. And it was good, in fact. There were no bugs, zero maintenance. In fact, even after closing my business, I met one of my customer in flight from Bombay to Indore. That was way back in 2006, 2007 times. And the person, I asked that person on the flight that how is the software? He said, your software is doing just great. Are you still using it? But yeah, we are using it. Then how are you maintaining it? It doesn't require any maintenance. Everything is there. You feel, what about the speed? No, if it becomes slow, we take a backup, we keep it. Whenever we want to restore it, there is an option to restore it. So we restore it. So we don't feel there is any, and it is going on fantastic. So we realize what is that we have built. But during that time, it was so difficult to maintain new customers to get acquiring. And to get people was also difficult because their salary demand were going very high. And because we were domestic, of course, we had that international experience, but that was not a very good experience with dealing with that customer. So in domestic market, people don't pay. They don't value your skills. And so those were the issues that were there. And finally, we said that, let's give it a pause. And there was a lot of money which was outstanding during that time. So we decided, okay, we'll not take any new orders. Let us recover all those outstanding money that we have. And then let's see how it, and then let's see the next step, how it goes on. So it was tough. We have seen our all-time low in my life. I have seen that from there, bouncing back again, and then getting into a corporate life was a journey by itself. So ups and downs, there were many ups and downs, day-to-day challenges, and because when you're an entrepreneur,
Everything
people
on you.
think today. People think today. Today also, when I meet a lot of startups, and I have also mentored a lot of them, they think that, oh, today I'm going to start up, tomorrow I'll get money. Well, no, forget it. At least for 5 to 6 years, stop thinking that you'll take home money. You're only going to put in money. है ना, उतना ही होने वाला. That's all going to happen. Correct. So it is difficult. So that's an entrepreneur journey. But after you have surpassed that, then your income and everything will start growing, and it will start growing exponentially. So you have to wait for that journey. So today also, yeah, but today also that software which I have is still, I own the IP today also. Correct. And I have started now. In fact, I used AI for converting one of that software using Java technology.
Okay.
I've done a small POC. It is working well, but it's still, it requires a lot of refinement and so on. So I'm trying to see how I can refine it. And maybe I'll just put it on the cloud, pay per use, and whoever wants to use it, they can just use it.
Okay.
So,
So after it was a great point to say why you wound down and why you closed down your entrepreneurship journey. Multiple reasons, of course, there were challenges, and
Yes.
it's fine. These kind of things happen, but you achieved a lot during these 7-8 years.
yes, phenomenal.
Exactly, and then you went back into having a stable job again.
Yes.
But then you did something different, not something which is in the rule books.
Yes.
You went to the United States. You were working with the government in the States.
Yes.
How do you feel basically as a guy who has done his BSc chemistry, was in Indore, and then going to a American government agency, and then walking out with an order from the government of America?
Yeah.
How was that feeling, and how did you even in the remotest of dreams achieve it?
Yeah, so that was again a challenge. In fact, that company which I was working with in Indore, so they had filed my H1, but I didn't get my H1 so easily. So when I went to US there, it was on a B1 because it was a training assignment where we had to train employees of the government department on .NET. So giving them a complete programming, that if there's a novice, how do you program in .NET? Basically, simple things. So you make them go through making simple screens to complicated screens, handling databases, and putting validations and doing a remote call and web services and using all of that stuff into .NET. So because I was very much hands-on, so that's how I did that training. And during the training, I was very constantly with the employees, and they used to come up in every classroom. They used to come up with a lot of their queries. Oh, I have this, how do I do that? I have this, how do I do that? And then because of so many years of experience having my own business, I had a lot of business processes were known to me. So it was like, this is simple. What is so great in it? So connecting that business process to give them a solution was very easy for me. And for them, it was a value that they immediately could get from that discussion. And then they implemented it. They knew how to implement it, and then they would basically do it. So that's how that first organization got into it. And then similarly, the second organization which we were looking at to get into .NET services with them. Because .NET had just come around 2000, .NET, C# and all that had just come in. So we wanted to get in there, and we also had our own product on code generators and so on. So we wanted to sell them that, how to use it and so on. So I was doing all that training with the other government agency. In that whole process, because I was technically very sound, and my business acumen or my business processes were very strong, I could relate to what they were saying and give them an instant business scenario which they were looking at it. So if they would tell me, okay, for example, I get invoices which I need to enter, and then I need to make analysis of it. So what analysis? 30, 60, 90 days, due payment, what is not received. I mean, simple things, right? So moment you tell them what is the next step that they're thinking for, the connection has already happened. So you say, yeah, this guy knows about my problem. I think he can fix me. He can help me out. So that's how both of them, and this challenge was thrown through me by the CEO when I went into US. He said, boss, if you get me these two accounts, you get your H1 and you are back again in the US. I said, no problem. You can rest be assured within a month, these two accounts are with you. So by the time I finished off, they called for a meeting with the CEO. He took me along, and then he says, the head of that agency said, I want Shailesh on my team, on my project team, and I want him here every day to come here and be with my team and resolve all the issues that I have and look at what development we want to do. And he has to look at all the development things which we're going to do. He said, okay, fine, yeah, no problem, we'll come here, not an issue. Then we go to the second customer. He also said, I want this guy. He's going to help us with my IT team, sitting here, getting all my business applications into migrated into .NET. And we want this guy. You tell me how you are going to give me this guy. So we walked out after those meetings and he tells me, Shailesh, what did you do? Bola, now I'm into a fix. Bola, both of them want you now. So what do I do now? Well, I said, that is not my problem. You asked, you wanted that contract for both of them, I have given it to you. So now you get my H1, I will manage both of them. Don't worry about it. I will do my time slicing and I will spend full time in both of them. Half day here, half day there or something, what I will do. So don't worry about it. They'll be happy, they'll be delighted customers. You don't have to worry. You will not get a single escalation call ever in your life. So he said, okay, fine. Now your H1 is yours. So, but then it never happened. A lot of things, there were a lot of, slip between the cup and the lip. So I didn't get my H1 and so on. And then finally I moved to...
That was again a setback, but that was again a setback with not getting your H1, but you still broke.
Still, yes. Those two accounts
broke.
Where I broke that account.
That was confidence.
Yeah, that was confidence. Because I knew, see, that entrepreneur journey, when I could make 50 customers, I knew how to break into accounts, right? So it was not a big deal.
So you were not selling what we had as a product, but you are selling the solution, the problem they had.
Yes.
How you are solving that problem.
Yes.
That made it much easier because the entrepreneurship taught you that.
Yes.
Awesome.
Problem solver,
exactly.
Correct. So because there is a problem, you have a solution and you ask them to how to fix it and you make it, because I have learned everything on my own, Ninad. And it was so difficult to learn things. Today also when I teach anybody, I go to the very simple basic fundamentals. And even when I talk to my customers, I talk to them in the basic fundamental language, not adding any jargons, right? To just sound very, jazzy and techy and no, that's not. The other person is not able to understand you. What's the big point?
So now I think things have changed many times. I see people, if you can't convince them, confuse them. This is what I've seen with people.
maybe, but at least I don't know. I have always tried to help them to satisfy them with whatever that I can do best. But yeah, there may be some confusion which will still be there at some point of time. But that is norm, which I've heard even the corporate also a lot of times. When you can't do anything, confuse your customer to that extent that, eventually, they stick on to you. But I don't think so. That's the right attitude.
That's not the right attitude.
That's not the right attitude.
Not at all. So when you were in this, in the States and you started this you broke the account successfully and unfortunately you had the setback of not having your H1B.
Yeah, that's okay.
But that was one thing. But then what was the biggest surprise you found in working in the US against working in India? What was the biggest cultural shock or what was the biggest difference?
See, I think in the US, at least those customers where I was working with, they value your skills. They respect you for your skills. Whereas in India, they'll say, oh, you're a project manager, man. So what? So be it. They don't, here, what I always tell everybody, see the guy who is the developer, you respect the developer. Because of that developer, your lights are on. Tomorrow, the developer community goes off. You're gone. That is very important. and they need to be given that value. Whatever that good they have done, yes, you give them good praises in front of everybody. You have to pull up people. You have to do it. You have to give them a bitter pill. You have to give them a better pill. There is no way out of it, right? And that you do it in private. Very simple. So that is what I've always followed. But respect is something which even today also you feel, I know what is it? This can be like today also when I speak to a lot of customers, hey, what is this? Everything can be done with the AI. Boss, everything can be done with the AI, then why are you calling me here? Right? I'm not needed, nah? But why do you calling me? Because you think there is a thing which there are tons of tools today in AI. What to use, how to integrate. Somebody needs to understand that whole thing, right? And then only you can deliver a solution. It is not simple because today, earlier days were very different. You had simple databases, simple front end. Today it is complicated. Today there is a cloud service, there is infrastructure, there is security, there is a database, there is this, there is a database security, there is a secured socket communications and APIs, and that was it is huge thing which has gone into so many finer aspects of technology today and matured, very much matured today when you talk about security services, which was not there in earlier days because it was a simple although it was running on a client server mode on a novel netware because that novel netware was one of a predominant networking software which was there. But today now you have cloud services, cloud servers, and each one, or you have your own virtual machines now. So the complexity has really increased. You need specialists for doing all of that. And that is very important. So today also I have my own set of team where I got specialists in this area. I consult them, we all put down together, put our heads together, come out with a solution, what needs to be done, what needs to be fixed, and then you deliver it. Otherwise, it is difficult. Earlier, it was a different game. Now it is you can't be up onto everything and everything.
But from what you experienced in early 2000 and what you are experiencing now, one thing I think I can see clearly, which is common, is people don't value something like an intellect. People don't do that. And it's still right now the case. It's nothing different yet.
Yes, nothing different.
That's a pity.
Yeah, they don't value because they think resources. I mean, IT industry is the name resource. I mean, it's a human being. It is not a resource. It's not a machine. Your machine is a resource.
Right.
According to me, I'm being very vocal about it. But human resource is there, but that's a human being. Let's understand that. You need to empathize.
Exactly.
Empathy is missing now. So why will the person also be clinged on to you when you are not interested, when you are not taking care of the other person? Why should the other person take? It's mutual today.
Exactly.
Right?
Give and take.
Give and take. It's all give and take today. Earlier it was also, but earlier opportunities were less. So people used to, let's go on, carry on.
Exactly. Just drag yourself.
Just drag. I mean,
you're there once you join and you finish your career in the same
that's
thing.
all. So
now you have opportunities.
Now it is different. Now it's completely different. So today's generation will not. They look for quality of life, and that's what is important today, and it's available today.
Exactly. And why? Why should not?
Why should not? Exactly. Exactly.
This was an interesting facet, I would say, which you experienced in 2000 and even you continue to face right now.
Yeah.
But in that mid years which you had from the US and then your transitions, there's one specific thing related to a project in Singapore.
Correct.
And it was mentioned that you overcame significant challenges, 300 times of overruns. What was that? It sounds really amazing.
During those days, I was with Satyam. So, because I left my earlier company and joined them in 2004. And then all throughout, in fact, in the earlier company also, I had always got troubled projects. Projects were taken by the sales and you have to deliver it, right? At whatever, price and effort that you have. So, it was always a firefighting situation. So when I joined Satyam also, the first project which came onto my lap was grossly underestimated from timelines. It was a 9 to 10 month of project which we had to deliver it in 6 months.
Okay.
Difficult. But we managed to deliver it with a lot of challenges which we went through. Second project also, there were similar challenges which I got into. Then I finally got an opportunity to go to Singapore. And I wanted to be long term
With the same
somewhere.
company.
With the same. So Satyam only had got a project there in Singapore. That was a government customer. And they got that. So they said there's a new project and we want you to go there. I said it's okay, fine, no problem. So I went there, and as usual, I would, any project that I take, I would do an effort estimation. So I did the effort estimation. According to me, the effort estimation was about 24,000 man hours. Huge. And the estimation that was done by the team was about for 9,000 hours, man hours.
Yeah.
Grossly mismatch. So I said,
Which is typically very common in sales and application.
No, it is typical. I mean, today also, it is typically that way only. Because at the end of the day, when you sit across the negotiation tables, you say, okay, fine, this figure, that figure, this figure, that figure, and then you finally agree to some figure. And
in entrepreneurship, I think you already would have had that. You were the sales guy, you were the delivery guy.
Yeah. In entrepreneurship, you are doing everything. You are doing sales, you are doing delivery, you are doing customer facing, you are collecting money, you are managing a relationship, everything. Because you can't afford to have multiple people doing everything, right? So there is no cushion there, and incidentally. So here this project came in, and I was looking for a long term to be outside India also. So I said it's okay, fine. And but my family was not there; they were in Indore during that time, and I was only in I was in Chennai at that time, and then I moved to Singapore for that project. And they said it's a good project, and I said fine, okay, so I'll go there. I was happy. So I said, okay, I'll be in foreign country, and that fascination was there at some point because the travel thing. My old days, then I wanted to get into Air India, and so this I said, okay, this way also I can travel the world. So it was good. So I went there, and then that was the issue. So that project which I went for was okay, fine. That I brought it under control. I renegotiated with my management, and they gave me finally 16,000 man hours with a lot of pushbacks and so on. He said, we can't do anything beyond that. You take this or nothing. We can't do anything. I said, it's okay, fine, no problem. Something is better than nothing. So I said, okay, we'll do. Then we finally got that up. But when I went to there were already 3 projects which were delivered to the customer. They were in live, in production. Correct? My project when I took was already in red because it was grossly underestimated, right? So that was anyway red. So I said, I can't do anything about it here. But I said, I will still repair this. So I had that kept in my mind. So while I was there, then they said, okay, the other 3, there was another project manager. He said, why don't you, because you are in that account, you are there, you have a good rapport with the customer. Because of course, with that maturity, after almost, so many years spending in IT, having our own business, you have at about 20 years of experience, you become mature dealing with people and so on. So they said, I think you can manage it well. Even you have managed so many customers in your life, and this, I think you take up the entire account manager. You're the account manager. You deliver that also. It's already in production, so you don't have to worry. I said it's in production, so why should I have to worry? No problem. I'll manage that also. So I didn't know what I was getting into, and that was a nightmare. The first meeting which I had with the project manager, he says there are about 300 open defects in a production system. I said, wow, okay. And then he said there are about 120 documents which are not been signed by the customer as yet. It's no sign off. Okay. And he said there are about some reports, 30 reports, which we don't know. They are yet to be delivered to the customer. I said, wow, that's excellent. And then, so who is my team? He said, there are 3 people in your team to deliver that. I said, okay. And each one managing one module. So there were 3 modules. One module apparently was very stable. So there was not much any issues. It was all fine. Other had pending documentation work, but less defects. One had huge number of defects, documentation also pending. So we said, okay, fine. So let's make a plan. And then I went boldly. And then I took my team, that new people, some of them, and they were very laid back. I will come, I will do, I will go types. And so there were a lot of human resource issues also which I had to handle there. People not willing to work on those, on that. Of course, in my project which I went there, from day one, I have channelized them, and the thought was very clear: we have to deliver it. And I told them that don't worry, we'll also make money on this project. Because while we were discussing, we identified that there is a new module which the customer wants to develop. They were contemplating. And in my discussion, I was pushing them that let's do it now, let's do it, we'll do it together, because anyway, it is a part of the same extension. Some story was getting, and that was nothing a story, but it was actual reality. And if they would have done it later on, that would have costed them more. But with this, I would have done the integration very seamlessly, and it would have been it would have helped them in cost wise. So then they agreed. So we got that. So that helped me. I got some additional hours. So again, money comes in, right? So
Relief.
relief. So that was very much fine. But the other project was into shambles. Every time I go into meeting, every time I give them a deadline, I get a beating from the customer. So this continued for a month. And later on, I realized that if we don't deliver the project by the end of February, then it is going legal.
Okay.
Legal, everything was getting ready, and we lose the account completely. So we said, now I have to salvage the project. So then I met with the team. Some of them didn't wanted to work. Some wanted to work. I helped them, brought them onto track, got the deliverables done, negotiated the timelines. Timelines in the sense the sign-off criteria was not there at all. I mean, it was all open-ended. So we discussed with the customer, amicably resolved it. And so there were a lot of things, because contractually there was something and we had to go against some clauses in the contract. But then it was a call that the customer team and our team, we have to take it. As project managers, we have to take it, right? To successfully deliver it. I said, this is the only way. So they also said, okay, fine. I think let's go ahead with the Shailesh. We don't agree with whatever that you say 100%, but I think in the best interest, let's do this. I said, I'm not running away anyway. Let's do this. Let's see where we are at the end of Feb. And then we will take a call where we are. I said, it's okay, fine. No, let's do that. And then we synergized the act. We got everything. Those 30 reports, we've identified what they were. And they were all in crystal reports. And I was very much hands-on on crystal report. And today also, I'm very hands-on on technology, today also. So I started developing those 30 reports, figured out where is the requirement, what was the requirement, got some old mails dug out, and with the old team, they had some archives, and with the help of the project lead, luckily he was very, very helpful. So he gave me all that stuff. He said, Shailesh, these are the reports. Abhi, you figure it out. Our team, it is not possible. He said, you don't worry. I will figure this. I will deliver all these 30 reports for you. You don't take that headache. I said, but I will do it. Don't worry about it. But you don't know anything about that application. But you forget it. Whenever I need help, I will go through the documentation myself. I'll figure that out. Don't worry. So I figured that out one by one reports, everything, all 30. By the beginning of March, everything was all done. Delivered, given it to the customer. So by the end of Feb, so to cut the long story short, by the end of Feb, on the last day, we had 0 open defects in all the systems. Wow. The change request was successfully delivered with 0 open defects. Wow. All 120 documents signed off by the customer, 30 reports delivered and signed off. It was running against the time. Every day, every second was costing me. And my team, I would say, my team was great. It was a great team. And, they helped me, because I don't want to take the credit of that delivery, because I was just there ironing out all the issues. But they were actually slogging, and I was with them always, even including on a Saturday or a Sunday. If they go on a Saturday, Sunday, I would be there before they go, and I would be the last person to leave with the last person. Right. So you have to be with your team to say them you are there, because I had my own deliverables.
Exactly.
Right? So to manage those timelines. So it was working with the team, being with them, making your hands dirty, facing the same brand. And one fine day, I still remember, one of the guy came and told me, Shailesh, I need 3 hours off. I said, on a Sunday, why do you need 3 hours off, boss? I said, no, I have to go. But what is so hard pressed for? Why 3 hours only? Why not 4 hours? So he said, no, actually, it will be 4 hours only, but 3 hours is minimum that I need. But okay, what is that your problem? You come and tell me. So he said, I promised my wife to go for a film. So I have to take her to the film. So I said, don't worry, go, don't worry about it. You go. And then he said, I'll come back after that film. It's a 12 to 3 ka show hai. I'll come back at 3 and 4 o'clock ko main lunch karke, I'll ask her to go home. Then, but hold on, boss. Forget it. You go for the film. You enjoy with your family today. Up Sunday out. Go enjoy yourself. Well, deliverable. Don't worry. We'll manage it out. You go ahead. Don't worry. So he was given that flexibility. And so that, see, that rapport was there with them. That they would come and, openly talk to me. Any problem that they have, I made it in such a way that they would come and talk to me anything under the sun.
Right.
Including if there were some issues which they were facing at their home front also, they say, Shailesh, I cannot work today, that home problems are, and they say, so don't worry, it happens, anybody. So don't relax. Tomorrow we'll cover it up, so don't worry about it.
Right.
So empathy again, so
Exactly.
but so finally we delivered it, and in that whole journey, the customer was looking at my way of delivering it. And later on, the customer said, before you, there were about 7 project managers who had left this project and went off because they were so scared. I said, I don't know, maybe I was a scapegoat. I had no option out but to deliver it because a legal sword was hanging there. So we had to deliver it.
Right.
So finally, there were too many variables which I was handling. Finally, we delivered it. And the customer also gave us a repeat order for that.
Wow.
An extension contract
success.
for 6 months.
Wow.
And because on the last day when we sat there on the table to sign off all the projects, 0 open defects, everything was completely was clean slate. And
then the 6 month project said, okay, I want Shailesh out here.
they didn't say that. That was there anyway. So
awesome.
But it's okay. It was good in the whole journey working with that customer, and I'm still in touch with that customer. In fact, the project manager on and off, I did meet her also once, and it was the good memories that we have.
Wow.
So it was good.
Okay. You spoke one specific topic which was very interesting is your team. Your team delivered everything.
Yes.
And you were the catalyst to just motivate them.
That's all.
So that brings me to the topic of leadership.
Yes.
And maybe we would like to hear from you some funny incidents in the leadership when you're doing a motivation kind of a thing and the motivation didn't work.
Oh, there's a multiple. So, see, there are multiple times, when you are sitting with the team and you want them to go in a direction. They go completely in a different direction. Some of them are so strong-headed, they will go ahead and implement what they want. They will. So, any specific thing, I don't know, because all of them, jitne bhi whatever that I have delivered, there were so many. Because see, as a leader or as a project manager, you are always troubleshooting every day. Every day there is a new troubleshooting that happened. But the best thing, which I always would do is that connect with the team. And then we would all enjoy together, have fun masti together and so on, right? So we had a lot of outings with my team. We would go out. I would go and sit down with them, during lunch, which was not expected. Normally, they would say, "Oh, he's a senior guy, and he's coming, sitting with me for lunch," and then they would suddenly get, conscious about it, and then I said, "Okay, just relax, don't worry." Then we start talking about general stuff, things, what's going on around, how are things at home, how are projects going on, just casually, nothing. They may not be even reporting to me at times. correct? Because there may be a project manager there and so on. So, so those were some of that time when I really enjoyed, connecting with them, because it is not work. It is other than work. You're discussing everything under the sun. It could be a film that they would have seen, some jokes that they would have cracked on, and all of that. So that's something which I did very very regularly with my team. Not making them, because see, pressure hota hai delivery ka, but how you make them feel is important, correct? And you have to get the deadlines from them only, and that's what I used to do. Correct. Kai bar, they would apply their minds, and like we were delivering some project in the Middle East, and that was the most funniest part actually. So this was the Middle East customer, and that we were developing a software for their ladies club. Okay, so that was a gym which was there, and so we could only enter those premises when there were no ladies in there. Correct. So of course that's the only way that you can do that. Otherwise, you'll land up into trouble. So that was the most, for us, we say, boss, India mein nothing happens, right? Gym mein anytime, ladies will go, gents will go, anytime it's all mixed crowd. But there it is not that so, right? So the cultural is very different. So we used to tell, Abhi boss, 11 o'clock, you be 11 o'clock for that meeting, huh? Otherwise you cannot, you will be thrown out by this time. So you ensure that by 11 you are out of that place, because 11 o'clock that gym starts, their ladies club open there. So you don't, kai baar aise hota tha, sometimes 5 minutes late when some things used to happen. We used to literally say, boss, run for your life now, otherwise you'll get caught behind the bars, So that was something which was, it was very, you had to just do it. I mean, there's nothing.
Different culture, different place, different ways of doing things.
Different ways of doing things. That's all, which was there. And then even with customers also, there were a lot of times, so with one of my customers in the US, we had this golf event. So we used to have a complete golf event with this customer. So we used to sponsor that event. And for one of those events, I was there. I happened to be there because I was on my regular quarterly trips to that customer. So we went out there, and golf, I had never played golf, and I had never hold that that club, or what do you call it, golf stick. So we said, okay, fine, and I looked at it. He said, it looks like simple, like a cricket bat, you hold it. And then of course I had played hockey, so malum hai that twisted, and then you just hit it. But it's not that simple. When you look at it, you have to put the ball on the tee and then it should hit. So they were playing it finally, and I was also sitting in one of the cart, going around, doing all. And then one guy had put that, inside the hole. So he was trying it out, and then he said, okay, now I also want to try it out from here. I'll put a ball here and I'll just do it. And I hit it, went in straight. I said, wow, you are a great, great. We could not do it. Anyway, I think you play golf. Well, sorry, I don't play golf. But then I thought, let me practice something. So then I went, there was a practice area where you, have that. And so you do some practice there, time pass. Then after that, it was just a, fun thing that, they would call me, Shailesh, now you hit this. Now you hit this. And I'm just a novice in this. But, I think you are my lucky mascot. Now you hit, I think I will be able to get that birdie out. So I said, it's okay, fine, I'll come and do that. So once or twice it has helped them. So it was fun, even working, being with them. It was not only those project discussions that you had, but it is some offline discussion that builds that connect.
Right.
Rapport with your customers and that understanding.
Right. We again go back to your entrepreneurship time, because you had an entrepreneurship experience, you had the connections, you're used to making connections, and you continued that, which helped you a lot.
That's very important.
That's only which is important.
That's important. Yeah. And
life goes on.
Yeah, it goes on. Yeah. And you have to be with them.
Yeah.
Correct. But it should not happen like, see, today also, and some of that, first time leaders, when we used to do those training, you said, okay, understand the customer, what is it that they like, what is it they don't like, and then that's how you break the ice and so on. So we'll go into a meeting and they'll say, okay, yeah, hey, I looked at your post on golf, you did that. I mean, that sounds so unnatural. Let it make it just be a natural thing,
Right.
of putting it across, rather than making it sound very unnatural, and that the customer also can figure it out. Right? So it should not happen that way. So something that was, I think it was just like, it just came to me because of experience, or we don't know what, but maybe that entrepreneur journey, getting beatings from all places here and there, and then you just figure it out what is a good right thing to do.
Right. Maybe I don't know if I have an answer to this, but I was a programmer myself. So when you're programming or debugging a code from someone else,
Correct.
you used to find interesting comments in the code section.
Yes.
Do you remember any specific interesting comment? Because I remember a couple of them, so from my time, but maybe if you can remember something.
Yeah, code review, not the comments, but see, there was one incident which was there. I was doing a code review, and in fact, that was here's the turning point over there. So I had, from my earlier company before joining Satyam, they had deployed me at Reliance Infocom. Well, at our world, remember those old days when that our world mobile had launched, and then there these applications. So I was a program manager from my company side over here. And I was to ensure that all the deliveries goes on time on that mobile. And I never handled any mobile application ever before that. So again, a learning curve to understand what that mobile J2ME was, that platform,
Right.
Java to mobile.
Java to mobile.
So that I've understood, figured it out easily, wrote some small programs. Because my team thought he's a programmer, he's .NET, Java, what will he know about Java? This guy comes in from somewhere, starts talking big things and so on. So to make your point prove, I started, developing these small codes and, into J2ME. And then I would deliberately, I will call a programmer. Hey, look at this, I think there is something wrong here, fix it. Well, no, it is this way, that way. You do programming also, kya? Well, of course, I am hands-on onto this. So I can do that. Oh, we thought you're not a techie. I said, no, I can do programming. Don't worry about it. So then one day I was doing a code. So that was there. Then they still felt, no, he might just be, throwing off stuff. So one day when I called one of that, because there were some bugs in that person's code, and she was not able to fix it up for some reason, whatever. I said, okay, why don't you come down? And I had that pressure to get that code delivered out. So I said, why don't you come down? We'll do a code review. So we did a code review, and I identified, he said, a program, now it gets into a loop at certain point of time. I said, okay. I read through the code. I said, your program is getting into loop in this condition. Sir, how did you know about this? This is the problem. Exactly. Without running also, you told me this. How did you tell this? You please tell me now. He said, in this code, see, you look at this line, you have written this, exit or come out of this loop within this if condition, and this if condition doesn't get satisfied for that particular type of for that condition. So how will it exit out? It's like a revelation, something. It's not something that, but after that, the word spread so fast that from that day, I could feel
smooth.
It was very smooth. They started respecting me. And to that extent that some of the code that was not getting into production for 15 days, same error, some error coming in jar file, it is not vulnerable to identify. I said, okay, once I fix this up, I told that other program, so tomorrow morning, we are going to sit with that code, and tomorrow morning we'll fix it up, and it goes into staging by tomorrow afternoon before lunch, for sure. Don't worry about it. So I said, okay, fine. Tomorrow morning I go to her. Let's do that. No, sir. I fixed it up. I knew where that error is. So it is done. It is already sent to staging now. I said, okay, fine. Thank you. My work is done. Uske baad, everything was so smooth.
So part of motivation.
It is a part of motivation. But see, you have to prove at times.
Exactly.
And they take you for granted.
Yeah.
Well, he's a manager. He doesn't know anything.
So in fact,
Right,
you are
so-
never a manager. You are always a leader. I would say that
I was never a manager, but for them, see,
on a
that-
designation.
the designation is project manager or delivery manager.
Right.
So I was never clinged on. That manager is okay, fine. It's just a tagline that you have, but with with power, there's a lot of responsibility,
Exactly.
and use that power for the betterment of your team and for the betterment of your team members. People misuse it a lot of times.
Most
They throw their power, which is not right. So you help them, they'll help you.
I think that would be a good learning for everyone. It was awesome to hear about all the progression you have had in your professional career. Moving from there to a little bit about your private personal life.
Sure.
So you have also faced a deep personal challenge in the past few years.
Yes.
You have survived cancer, I would say.
Yes.
And I think that is something big. You would have been hit by a avalanche when you heard that. How did this experience your perspective on work, life, and everything? Could you shed a few words on that?
So accidentally that cancer was discovered actually. With the investigation been done, and it was in, I think, end of December 2021. And my son's marriage was due in 2022 January.
Yes.
So end of December, so we hardly have about 15-20 days, and a lot of things to be done. The first marriage in the house and so on. So myself, my wife, and my son, elder son, who was getting married. So with all the reports, of course, we knew that report was there, and it was very clearly indicating that it was a blood cancer. The only thing which was, the doctor says, the first, first hand information that we got, Shailesh, you don't have to worry, it is curable. So you don't have to worry about it. So I said, fine, okay, it is curable. So half of my worry is done. I don't have to worry about it. So we were sitting at the doctor, and then because all my symptoms which was there, even with the reports, they were not coming out, blood reports and nothing. It's a blood cancer, so it should come out in the blood, or any other sign, weight loss or fatigue, or there was nothing that was apparent. So they were doubtful, and then we did a retest and all that, and everything was confirmed. So we're sitting there. He said, Shailesh, now it is confirmed. You have this now. So there was a silence of about 1 minute. He said, okay, it is all done. So what is that we do now? So you have to start your treatment. Okay. So we told the doctor that my son is getting married on 20th of Jan, and today we are on the 29th. So he said, we can start from tomorrow. One cycle of chemo will go. By that time, in 21 days, you'll again, and then we can have the second cycle and so on. I said, it's okay, fine. So it was not, something which was not prepared, and, coming through. And I had only knew that, yes, chemo is a difficult thing to go through it, right? So, and now I'm going to experience it. So first, chemo was horrible. It was horrible means it was real horrible. And it shook us, everybody, including my family members and so on. But then I kept us pride, saying that let's move ahead in life. Jo hoga. Anyway, it's anyway curable. You have to endure whatever it is there. There is no way out. But how do I keep myself positive about it? That's the only thing. So I kept myself throughout positive about everything. And in fact, throughout my life, I've always been, whatever that has happened, I have always seen the positive aspect of life. So during that time, of course, there was a target, all that was in my mind, right? So because you are heading a unit, you had business targets to achieve, and now we are with this treatment. You don't know how many times you'll be able to attend office, you'll be able to attend work. All that was very uncertain, a lot of things. And then COVID came in, and then I had got COVID during that time. It was tough to manage all of that because immunity being low and so on. But finally, we survived through with support of family members. Son got married, and everything started settling down. And then gradually I also started started settling down at office level also. So I used to take 15 days, means about 10 days or so. It used to be horrible. And then I would start again back work, because what do I do? So you get back to work, you feel everything is normal. You feel everything is okay. So you feel better. And that was very important, that how you feel, because with this type of a disease, the only way to fight is, what I have learned is, you have to be positive about things. Never get into negativity that, oh, this is what. At the end of the day, the reality is that everybody is going to pass away. That's a hard fact, irrespective of whatever happens in your life. And what date is, nobody knows about it. So why today we are here, tomorrow nobody is going to be here. So why think about it? Let's give the best, let's be positive, and then we'll come out of it. And doctor has also said we'll be also coming out of it. And then I'd also taken opinions from Tata Memorial, because one of my school friend is a very senior surgeon there, and then he was very helpful, no doubt about it. Very, very helpful. One mail going, within hours he would respond back, and so on. So he was an immense support. And then so all of that, I was very much relaxed that medically I was fine. But then the best thing was that, whenever you go for these treatments, I would be very happily going there. They would ask me, because see, it is just not being positive. You have to feel that positivity, right? And so I would go walking, and now I would go from home, recovering from that 15 days cycle. Of course, you're not fully recovered, because still your body is broken down, but energy wise, you're still better than day zero from the time when the chemo was given. So you start off, and then you go home, and ghar se nikalte, okay, I'll see you again back after 2 days, next day morning, next day evening, I am here, depending on the cycle. So I said, okay, fine. So we go home, everybody at home also, okay, aa jao. And then so I will go with my wife, with my kids, and go to the hospital. The doctor will say, are you ready? Yes, ready. How are you feeling? Absolutely fine, no problem. Go ahead. And so they would ask me, sir, now we have to put this. He'll tell, are you going to stop because I can't tell you no, right? No, so no. So why are you asking me? Just go ahead and do it. Well, I said, it is very painful. Well, yeah, it's painful. So what do we do? Is there something that you can, see, it's a humor. You have to make the other people also comfortable, right? That nursing
Mindset.
staff, to make them comfortable also, na? So he said, no, we can't do anything. Well, then go ahead, no problem. Don't worry. You do your work. I will be lying around, say, don't worry, relax. So, so it was that way. And then for every week, I used to go for my, dressing up that line, which was put for about 6 months. So they used to take my weight.
Okay.
And then the weight used to increase, because obviously you're going to lose weight. And that was the process because of chemo cycles. So weight would increase by 1 or 2 kgs, and I would feel very happy. I'd say, wow, weight has gone, 1-2 kilo बढ़ गया, weight has gone up by 1 or 2 kgs. And you feel happy about it, right? And I would say so I'm so happy about it. And then I would tell the nurse over there, see, you would have found only one cranky guy who is very happy when the weight has gone up. Normally people will say, oh, my 1 kg has gone up, now I'll have to do dieting, this, that. But this guy is getting happy for all of that thing. I said, yeah, and she would also laugh, obviously. And then I would, one of the patient asked me over there, are you an attendant or a patient? I said, I'm a patient. But then how can you be, but what is it that the weight is going, so I should be happy? That means I'm recovering. Is it a big sign that you should be happy about it? So why crib? Hum theek ho rahe hain, so you should be happy. Well, no, I think we have to learn a lot from you. It's all this small in the whole journey. Don't take a pressure of something. You have to go through the hardship, but be happy with every small things that you get, which you're going to do during this whole 6 months. Correct. So it was there, and I don't know if it has ever happened, but one of my birthday, I was there having a chemo. So there were phone calls coming every day. Morning people will call up, and then I was having my chemo. So it is more number of calls.
Right.
So and then they would call up, and then they would say, okay, thank you, thank you. So the nursing staff, why is he saying thank you today? Then sir ko kya ho gaya? What has happened to him? He's saying thank you. It's his birthday today. That's my wife told him. Oh, happy birthday. And then gradually everybody, it spread around, right? And then they also started coming. And then by evening, I was waiting for the doctor. The doctor also came and they bought a cake. And they celebrate my birthday there. And then after that, I was discharged because I was to get discharged in the morning. They made it till the evening. The doctor came in, the staff was there, and then we got the cake cutting. And then we say, okay, now you're getting discharged now. So, why didn't you do it? We wanted to do this for you. So that really touched me somewhere that, that sometimes you being, kind to these people because their job is very tough. They have to handle patients.
Exactly.
Of all
Emotional
different
taxing.
types, emotional, and everybody is not very cooperative. Some of them will be, and including the attendants, they will throw a lot of onto things. What is this? You didn't do this, that, and so on. So we said, let's not do it. They are also human beings at the end of the day, right? So
Brought in a lot of positivity in the entire area as well.
yeah, in the entire area. Yeah, in the entire area, very positive.
Exactly.
And they would always come and in fact, the best thing, I didn't tell them, but something happened. I don't know, because of my behavior or something, they would come. Oh, sir, how are you? We got to know today you are admitted. How are you feeling? Don't worry, you'll be all fine. Today we are on the chemo number 3, or abhi kutne hai, or 3 more to go, 4 more to go. And so like that. So they were also very happy about how things were going on, and so including the doctors were also there. My reports were going, and I remember one of the time I had given my blood test, and then the doctor called me after, sir, you please come to the hospital. I said, क्या हो गया? बोला नहीं, आप आ जाइए, आपका रिपोर्ट अच्छा नहीं है. I said, what happened to the report? बोला नहीं, आपका ब्लड काउंट और प्लाज्मा काउंट लो है थोड़ा, तो वील हैव टू डू अ ट्रांसफ्यूजन. आई सेड ओके, ठीक है, मैं आता हूँ. एंड देन अभी खाना खा के आ जाऊँ, चलेगा? हाँ, you have your lunch, you come out. Well, I'll be there by about 2 to 2:30. I'll have my lunch and then I'll come. So I said, okay. By the time I went there, everything was ready. सब करके फटाफट हो गया. So that care from the doctor was also there. And they would also come and, just go around and say, sir, how are you feeling now? अभी कैसा है? And I'm doing fine, absolutely fine, don't worry. They knew that I am going through a lot of hell with the chemo. But you have to feel, you start feeling good, then internally that healing also comes out that way.
You have to be mentally strong.
You have to be mentally very, very strong.
Otherwise, it will not work.
Otherwise, you will not defeat this.
Exactly.
And other is that somehow, somewhere I had, in some of the reel which was there, they had that cancer treatment in the US. They had this Gayatri mantra been, played out to the cancer patients, and then there was healing which had happened there. So I said, okay, let me do that. So while I was lying, I would keep on chanting it in the mind, and all my prayers that I do. So that, I think that also helped me.
Okay.
As an healing, internal healing is also helpful. So those are some of the things which I think, to come out, be positive. Whatever is the outcome is going to happen. You and me can't change anything. Right. So let's not worry about it. So how much best you can live is what you live. This moment is very important. बाकी कुछ नहीं है.
This could be your advice to the new guys.
Yes.
If, for example, unfortunately, they are facing this
whatever,
kind
at
of
home
situation.
or wherever it is there. This moment, abhi jo time hai, enjoy this time, because this time is gone, you don't get the time again.
Time's one gone, you cannot get it back.
You cannot get it back. That's the only thing, right? So it is how you be on that time. If you really are positive on that, then everything starts to become positive. They also say now, what you think, universe also starts giving you.
Exactly.
A lot of things are there. Abhi, you also learn a lot of things.
Right.
So that is what you again, give positive, you get back positive things. That's the only thing which I can say. That with
Good karma.
That's the only thing to defeat anything in life. जो भी कुछ होता है, जो होगा देखा जाएगा यार. What is it that is there ना?
Whether it's personal, whether it's private, everything.
Everything. Don't give up. Never give up in life. If you give up, then you have lost the battle.
Exactly.
Why give up? And don't crib also. In fact, I'll tell you, while I was undergoing this treatment, I would tell the doctor, I'm very helpful. I'm very fortunate that I got this disease. Somebody will never say this. So I told the doctor, well, why are you telling me this? Nobody has told this to me up until now in my years of practice. I said, look, you have told me not to eat anything from outside. I can't eat anything, no outside food because of my immunity problem. So I'm not eating any junk food. I'm only eating home cooked, fresh food only. Right? So it is completely good hygienic food. One. So my digestive system is getting all clean. All the junk is all getting off. Whatever that I have accumulated last so many years, it is getting clean. So I am with a new digestive system. Now we are doing this chemo. What is happening? All my blood cells are dying off. And I am getting new blood cells. So it is like
Getting
new
life.
blood, new blood, new circulatory system. So I am getting new blood, new life because of circulatory system. So circulation is there, up, fantastic. My digestive system is there, up, fantastic. What else you need? If these two are there in there, everything will be just be automatically taken care of. And then I was taking blood pressure medicines, which you would know, during our day. So that stopped.
Okay.
So I said, I am not taking any blood pressure medicines also. So that is also gone. So isn't it a boon for me? Okay, this has happened. Yeah, it's okay. But it's another way of looking at things.
It was a phase of life. And
It is
you
a phase
overcame
of
that,
life.
and now you look at it in a different perspective.
How you look, even during that time, I used to tell the doctor these same three things.
Okay.
And I used to tell him everything. And he used to say, what is it that, but that's the way it is there. You look at positive things. Negative, you look at negative. Everything is negative today. Na? Look at positive.
Simply, that was one deep down phase, I would say. And
Yeah.
it was hats off, you overcame that.
It is grace of God and
your
blessings of everybody.
positive mindset
yeah.
and your mental strength.
You have to also help yourself.
Exactly.
Yeah, and at the end of the day, by the grace of God and the immense support that I got from my family during my treatment was just commendable. Without that, I don't think so. My recovery would have been possible.
Moving to a couple of last final few questions which we might have, and maybe something which will help the audience again
Sure.
from your journey. You are a PMP certified professional.
Correct.
It's difficult. I know that.
Very difficult.
I am not a PMP, but I know it's difficult.
Yes.
Any words which can help aspirants to learn something out of that, and how you can give them some tips and tricks on nailing it?
So, see, PMP is it's a tough exam, okay, because it's a 4-hour exam, and which actually personally, when I did my PMP, I was in Singapore and managing that massive project, and in that time I had to give that exam, so it was tough. So, when we were also going through the training program, we were also told by the instructor, and I found that very immensely of great help. You read PMBOK book, which is the book of knowledge, project management book of knowledge. You read it first time, you don't understand anything. And you will not understand it, even today also. It is very, very dry or very raw written. Even after great project management skills, when you're reading, you think, yes, I know. But after you finish that chapter, then you start recollecting, oh my God, I don't know. What did I read? What did I comprehend? What is it I can recollect? Very few things you can recollect. So, you read for the first time, nothing happens. You read for the second time, something happens. You read for the third time, then it is right. So, for clearing PMP, you need to devote 100 hours of learning. 100 hours of meticulously learning. So during those days, we had one book of Rita Mulki was also there as a practice book, right? So you first go through PMBOK 1, then PMBOK, whatever it is, whatever the latest version. So you go through PMBOK, then it is, you can't figure it out. Then you go to Rita Mulki, complete book once. You will be able to get something, because it gives in a simple language with small tips and tricks, and it is good. It's a good, at least I found it good. Then you go back again to Pimbok. Then you again come back to Rita Mulki. Then you again go back to Pimbok. So Pimbok you have read 3 times. And in this journey you have completed 100 hours.
Okay.
It will take you 100 hours, believe me. You can make your own notes and so on. You can do practice questions and so on. And these are all very, the concepts are there. You know, that in this phase, what is that you do, this phase, what you do, that will be there, but it will be weaved in the form of a story. You know, that the project was in the initiation phase, but the project manager did this. What is that he didn't do? So, something of that sort. So, the questions will be very straightforward, but in a cryptic way, it will be all rounded about. And that's what that presence of mind is very much needed. Be focused onto it. And when you do this 3 times, reading 100 hours, you are sure shot you will get through. Because in our days, passing mark was 80%, which was so difficult. Today it is, I think, 60% or so. So it's easy now.
Easy now. Okay.
But the questions have become very tricky.
Of course.
But that's fine. I mean, you read through this.
You nail it.
Yeah, and you can do it. It's not a rocket science. Meticulously just do it. Do it. Read it. And you'll be able to do it.
Amazing.
Simple.
And so one more learning which I can recollect is, I think at the experience age of 26 years, you enrolled for executive MBA.
Yes.
And I think that was a roller coaster journey itself. So some incidents which you could envision from those 3 years, some funny parts mostly, I would say. How difficult was it? How easy was it? Your time during that time?
Yeah, so see, MBA at the age of 50, nobody will do that, first of all, okay? So why I did was that because when I was applying for jobs during that time, looking for a job, because I'm a BSc chemistry graduate, right? So people want now 10 plus 2 plus 4, not 10 plus 2 plus 3. So I said, I don't fit into that bracket. So one of my very close HR friend who was into recruitment and so on in one of the big top 5 IT companies, he said, Shailesh, you do, with this even I can't take you in my company because the rules are like that. And I spoke to a lot of those people who were there. And they said, no, I mean, difficult. I said, okay, let me do an MBA then. So if I do an MBA, that will be good, excellent. At least that will help you. So with that intent, I started doing MBA. So it was again after so many years. When I left my graduation, 86, I passed out. From there to 2013, again getting enrolled. It's almost like, 30 years. You're coming back to learning, right? But I enjoyed it as a college life. Karan, and you would also know, right? And it was all fun throughout there, including driving, going back, the whole journey, preparing for the exams, and copying it and so on. So I still remember one of that case, that there was an exam which was there, okay? And I was prepared for that exam. I was doing it on my own. I was writing it. My next bench, there was a girl sitting there, again a young girl, fresh and maybe with few years of experience. And she was sitting there and she was copying literally, okay? And then I said, okay, wow, sounds interesting. And, that sounds interesting. So I said, I looked at her and then she smiled at me. And then she again started, covering it. Typical copying, college days copying. Right. So that reminded me of my college days, people copying it and so on. So we said, then I asked her, can you pass it on to me? Although I knew the answer. So can you pass it on to me? So she was asking me, do you really need it? I mean, would you copy? I mean, at this age also, would you copy? I mean, this sign language was such that it was indicating that, I mean, at this age, would I like to copy anything? I said, okay, you just give it. There. Then she passed it on to me. And then I read it through it. I just kept it there. That's all. I didn't do anything with it. I didn't copy anything from it because anyway, I had everything written down there. And then I just gave back paper to her. And then I said, so far, and then he said, done. I'm done with
Adventure.
Adventure. So that's the most funny. I mean, would you copy, like this, So, and then there were a lot of things, I think the group assignment also, which right? So I was there. Then there were a few more, other colleagues who was there. Atul was there. Rajiv was there. So we were those senior kind of thing, and nobody wanted to and nobody wanted to take us into the group. So everybody formed their own group, and so we were left out. I think you were not there on that day. You were missing, or you were not there. You were traveling. So then we were all three left out, and we were looking, what do we do? So then we asked each other, you are into any group? No. You are into, no, nobody is taking us. So why don't we form our own group? I said, okay, so we three will form our group. So that's how, we formed it. And then she told me, okay, no, Ninad will also be there, and so they'll also. So I said, it's okay, theek hai, aa jaane do, chalega, more the better, and so on. So that was very funny, that people don't want to take us into their group at all. So it was something. It was really, good. Some good life, and then all that.
Reliving college life after 30 years.
Yeah, it was actually reliving, because if you remember, I used to attend all classes. Correct, and I remember I used to bunk, yeah. And people would tell me, why don't you? Well, no, because see, why I was attending is because that's the only time when I get to study, and my schedule was so difficult. You and Raji would sit down at about 8 o'clock, and then call me up and this, Shailesh, are you coming? Or kahan tak khatam kiya revision? I said, but I am still in the office. Abhi to vision hi nahi hai. Revision comes later on. Bola, oh my God, Shailesh, what are you going to do tomorrow for exams? I remember, some conversations of that kind. So it was like, so that was the only thing. I had to attend the classes. उधर जो सीखा वो सीखा, उसके बाद तो कुछ नहीं होता. It's only practicing, going through it in one
remember
night.
you teaching in class because you had more hands-on experience than just the textbook knowledge.
I know the project management class also, when I was very reluctant. I didn't want to teach because I'm there to learn, not to teach. So then, but ठीक था, वो भी experience अच्छा था. I remember I took that stakeholder analysis and
even the logistic part.
Even the logistics part, yeah. So there are a couple of things I think we discussed about it, and then few more things on I think personal team management and so on. A lot of discussions we had onto that. But it was fun, that was the college.
Yeah.
I relived that college life with all young kids and young guys and everybody. But that was really good, really good experience. And I made good friends also. So I'm very happy that I did that course.
Wow, amazing.
अच्छा हो गया.
So, if you would like to summarize your entire learnings in your life in a few words, how would you put it today?
A few words are difficult there. It's only so what I have been always doing it is keeping consistent. Be consistently doing that work. Because when you do something consistently, you're working on your craft, whatever it is. Right? So that is getting polished anyway. So be consistent, whatever that you're doing, every day. Every day you have to come up, you get up, you come to the office, whether that code is working, not working, whether you get customer meeting, no meeting, you still have to call, you still have to send emails. You have to do everything as part of the hygiene journey, right? Which you keep on doing it consistently. There will be ups and downs. Don't leave that. Be persistent about things. Because perseverance pays at the end of the day. Because without perseverance, nothing works. If you're not persevere, sometime you will lose focus and you will go to something else, and then nothing happens. Whatever that you have spent, invested time, effort, money is all gone. So be persistent and be positive. Because ups and lives will come into life every day. So be positive about things. Whatever that has come in is giving us a learning. Take what we have learned, achieved today, and then you move ahead in life. That's all. And you improve upon it every day. Every day is a new journey. Every day is a new learning. Sometimes, see, today also I feel, hey, yesterday I wasted my full day. I should not have wasted it. Yeah, but it is okay. Maybe I'm rejuvenating. Even if when I'm wasting, that thought is still there in my mind, lingering, pondering in my mind. Correct? And then, so what is that I'm doing? What is that I want to do? Which tools? That is still going on. But that thought is not yet, in that form, matured form, that I can do some work, constructive. It's still getting evolved. I'm still trying to evolve it. So that also happens, and then you feel no, but it is like a stepping stone at times. Sometimes you just diversify. You have to break the monotony at times, because one thing you keep on doing it, you'll always see that same thing day in and day out. Correct? You take a different perspective, you take a different route, and you will see a different perspective. So those things are very, very important in life.
Keep trying and have a different perspective.
Be consistent, perseverance, and be positive. Whatever it is there, be positive about anything. कुछ नहीं हुआ, fail हो गया, no problem. You have failed, but that has taught you, which no books in life will ever teach you that.
Exactly. Life is the biggest
teacher. So that is the biggest teaching that you get from the life. So be positive रहोगे तो सब अच्छा रहेगा. Everything will be just fine. So it is that way. And keep on working towards your goal. You will achieve your goal. Nothing happens without that. So there is, I remember one poem, and that's in Hindi actually, कोशिश करने वालों की हार नहीं होती. Right? Which says that if you keep on trying, you will never get defeated. That's what it says in English.
Exactly.
Right. So if you look at an ant which is trying to climb the wall, it jumps down again, it tries to call the wall, jump down again, falls down again, but it never loses hope. So when an ant doesn't lose hope, you as a human being, why are you losing in hope?
Having more intellect.
Correct. The other thing is that if you look at it, there are a lot of learnings from that ant. See, when the ant is trying to cross anything, it is also helping other ants to be part of the journey in that whole crossing journey. And that's what leaders are supposed to also be there. Help your team. Incidentally, what I've also seen is that a lot of people say, I want to grow. I say it differently. If my team grows, I grow.
Right.
If my team will not grow, I will not grow. Because if they are not able to take my work, then how will I take the work which my upper senior is doing?
Right.
So I have to leverage them. When they grow, elevate it, I also grow. And keep trust and faith onto your team members. You lose trust because I work with virtual teams. Some people I have not met in my life. I have only heard their voice. So there is no voice and a face also at times. So you're not able to gauge the other person's, what is going on in that person's life. It is difficult. It is the most difficult part in life. And still you have to deliver that project sitting hundreds and thousands of miles away in India and getting that project delivered, including language barriers.
Right.
So I faced that also. I was delivering a Portuguese project. I don't know Portuguese. The customer only knows Portuguese. How do you handle those things?
Wow.
Difficult, tough times.
Exactly.
So, and the team member also knows Portuguese, doesn't know English. He writes to me in Portuguese. Now, what do I do? So you take Google Translate, help translate, put it down, and then you understand, then you take it, put it down, and then you give a disclaimer, and then you send that email. At least it works. Find out ways how it works. Don't just say,
Find out a solution.
Find out a solution.
About problems.
There is in life, I always tell everybody, this, your clockmaker, I mean, those who make these locks, right? The lockmaker. So lockmaker makes a lock, also makes a key.
Right.
Same is with the Almighty God or universe or whoever it is there, some superpower. They have thrown some problems to you, given you a solution also. It's for us to find out the solution.
Exactly.
There is a solution for every problem in life. It's only how you look at it.
Exactly.
And till the time, today, most of the problem happens is because, and this is what I've seen, and I always keep telling people, everybody focuses on the problem more.
Yeah.
They keep on looking at the problem. I don't have this. I don't have this. I am not able to do this. I don't know why it is happening only to me. I think wish there was somewhere. I think, why only me? Why not somebody else? Other guy is so happy. So this, so that. Why you are always cribbing about these things? No. You look at what is maybe what you are living today. Situation what you are today, what resources you have today. Maybe it is somebody else's dream. We don't realize it. We take things for granted today. And you start looking at everything from positive. And this is one thing I will also tell you. Is that whenever a problem is there, you look at all the possible options that can happen, that can go wrong in that situation. To the worst to worst come situation. So you've got a worst to worst come situation. Now you've identified that. What do I do to avoid that worst to worst come situation? So you make a plan A.
Right.
You call that as plan A. So you say worst to worst come ho gaya, then this is what will save me. But do you think this to reach to me, I will wait till that situation occurs? No. I will not let that situation ever happen. So I'm going to do something before that. So that is your plan B. Then your plan C. So you automatically start making this, and you're getting into focused way of solving the problem. Till the time you look at the problem, you only look at the problem. You shift your origin from the problem, focus onto the solution. Now you'll get tons of solutions from it. This is the only piece of advice to everybody in their life.
Wow.
Just go away from problem. Problem will come and go.
Exactly. Wonderful.
They will always be there. Everybody has problems in life.
Exactly.
In fact, one of that person also told me, that is there some way, something. I said, okay, yes, there is a way that if you don't want any problems in your life, there is a way that you can do it. He said, what? I said, you find out one home and everybody keeps a pot of water, right? You get one glass of water from that pot, bring it to your home and put it into your pot of water. All your problems will get disappeared from the day you do that. But find out a home where they have no problem there, no single problem. That's it.
Wow. Thanks, Shailesh. That was wonderful to speak with you on these topics, whether it was leadership, it was motivating your team, it was product management, project management, whether it was learning, MBA, or teaching in college, or moving or changing your field from chemistry to IT. Was really superb listening to you. I am sure everyone would have enjoyed it. Thanks a lot for speaking out on all these topics. And I am sure you went through a lot during your personal and private lives.
Yes.
And it was hard for you at some point in time. You explained that. You gave a lot of advice to the listeners today. I really thank you very much for your wisdom to our listeners, to our audience. And I wish you all the best in your next consulting life, which you are again coming back to the entrepreneur part.
Yes.
I'm sure you are doing amazing there and will continue to do amazing.
Sure.
And
thank you so much for it, Ninad and Passion Minds. I'm really thankful that you invited me and I could share some of my thoughts. And I'm sincerely hoping that it will help somebody in their life journey to get some learnings out of this. That's what I always focus on. Give back.
You have helped thousands of people already. Maybe this will only be a medium to help a couple more. But thank you very much.
Yeah, thank you so much. Thank you so much, Nina. I really appreciate you calling me over.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thanks.